Epilogue. Special Delivery Part 1. I swear, Trix, this epilogue better be interesting.
Well, let's hope this hits on a high note.
The quiet tranquility of the checkerboard patterned grass-covered field was disturbed by as a blue blur suddenly shot across the grass, kicking up loose blades of grass behind it. While too vast for the naked eye to properly see, a closer look revealed it to be none other than Sonic, the blue hedgehog, running while letting his arms dangle behind him. Interesting, he had a blue and orange cylindrical tube in his right hand, the kind of tube that was often to transport important documents around large buildings like hospitals. His hand gripped it tightly as he ran, assuring that there was no chance he'd drop it. Sonic grinned as he approached the raised section of grass. The rock beneath it adorned the checkerboard platter similar to the grass. He came out to a complete stop as he reached the front of it and leapt up, landing on top of the hill before jumping back down to the grass below on the other side, landing in a crouched position. He took off a second layer, running under a rock formation while flipping over a rock that had fallen inside, sliding out to the other side of the formation. After a few seconds, he rolled to get back on his feet and resumed running, dashing towards the shuttle loop and going through it before jumping off the edge that came shortly after the end, landing on his feet. I love this place. He smiled to himself as he got back on his feet and resumed running, dashing He smiled to himself as he continued on his way. My apologies. After a little while more of running, the blue hedgehog could see his destination coming to view. A small town near the beach with roads leading to the United Federation's capital city, up into the mountains, and going past the area he was in, otherwise known simply as Emerald Town. Coming to the edge of the Green Hill area, Sonic let down the road below, stopping for a moment. He then turned to his left and ran at a slower pace into the town. Making a right at the third turn, passing by a house, shaped like a familiar two-tailed fox's head. Just down the road that was Tails' lab, a mostly metal building that had a red circle with the fox's two tails in the center and sides. Sonic slowed down as he reached the corner and turned, coming to a stop in front of the building and turning to look back at the sliding doors that marked the entrance. A second later, they slid away from each other as they opened, revealing the lab's door behind him.
Welcome back, Sonic!
Tails greeted. Hey, Tails, you knew I was coming, huh? Sonic smiled.
Tails chuckled. Well, yeah, I knew thanks to the tracker I put inside the capsule. When the signal started moving, I knew you had found it and would be back soon. I figured I might as well get ready for you. Come on in!
The fox turned around and walked to his lab, Sonic falling into the doors, which soon slid back into their color and persisted behind him. Sonic let his eyes wander as the two walked into the main lab, looking over the large computers and metallic floor that made up Tails' lab. Unlike the fox's workshops, his lab didn't exactly have the same lived-in feel. Seeing as he mainly used it when he had big projects that were hard to work on in his workshops, and, due to how close it was to his house, didn't stay overnight often. Looking over towards one side of the room, he saw a virtual reality system that Tails had set up for Emerald to use to hone his skills. Looking towards the center of the room, he saw Tails' latest project, a large mechanical tube stretching from the floor to the ceiling, placed in the center of the aiming sight, looks like a tube within the octagon, that marked the middle of the room. Following Tails over to a large computer panel that has the smaller screens above it, it was hooked into a supercomputer. Sonic placed the tube in his hand on top of the panel, next to a framed picture, while Tails sat down in a chair in front of the panel, and began typing on the keyboard in front of him. Looking over at the fox, Sonic commented, I gotta say, Tails, I'm impressed. It's only been 2 weeks and you've already come up with something that can breach this space between dimensions.
Tails stopped typing and looked up at him. Thanks, Sonic. Remember, this is still just a prototype. It's got a long way to go before I'll be able to do what we wanted to.
Sonic replied, all the same though, it's already proven to have teleporting capabilities similar to the device you built some time ago. If you could do that, with just the regular energy you've been supplying, you sure you're done doing your research, we'll be one step closer to seeing Equestria and everyone there again.
Tails sighed. Right.
Looking to his left of the tube in the center room, the tables for which were connected to the side panel in front of him, he explained,
after reviewing all the information on equestrian magic that Twilight gave me, I've come to the conclusion that chaos energy and pony magic are actually very similar. With a burst of chaos emerald's power, a small chaos control can be generated and transfer physical matter across time and space. While it's like this, it can be converted into a form that can be focused and picked up by magic users, thus returning it to normal.
Sonic asks, so, in English?
Exactly,
Tails nodded.
That's how Twilight is able to conjure up her glasses, and like Spike is able to send letters to Princess Celestia with that green fire he breathes. The Chaos Emeralds, essentially, are able to do the same thing, So the energy didn't contain. Ostensibly can use the chaos control strong enough to break the barrier and convert matter, instead of being picked up by a receiver in Equestria and convert it back to matter.
Sonic said, well, it sounds like you got everything covered, Tails.
Tails replied, well, you see, all the other tests on this device have checked out so far. Now it's time for the big one.
He looked over to the right, where he had his radar hooked up to his computers. Standing up and walking over to it, he grabbed a screwdriver on the left of the panel with his right hand and picked up the radar on his left. As he flipped it over, he was looking to cover it back. Sonic asked, "You're sure you're not going to ruin your radar by doing this?"
While beginning to loosen the screws holding the cover on, Tails answered, "It should be fine. I've already hooked it up to the lab computers, so it's getting a steady stream of power. And, just to be on the safe side, I made sure to copy all the data into my computer, so I'll have an extra copy as backup, in case something does happen to my radar. Though I'll lose all of my data, especially after it's helped me to, hopefully, root out any hiccups to my new transport."
Sonic smiled. "The head is useful, Tails." "Oh, sure, I'll be fine." Tails finished loosening the last screw, and after pulling it out, removed the cover. He then pulled the chaos drivers inside the radar out and set the radar back down to the panel. He then grabbed the spare power cores he had salvaged from the egg ponds back in the frog forest from inside one of the drawers on the panel, and turned and walked past Sonic. And so once again, he walked to the tube in the middle of the room and installed the chaos drives and power cores into it. Afterwards, Tails walked back to Sonic and asked,
"Did you bring it?"
Sonic nodded. "Of course I did. I've been hanging on to it since we wrote it." He reached into his quills with his right hand and pulled out the scroll Twilight had let Tails keep. The seal on it still intact. He held it out to the fox. "Want me to look over it one last time?" Tails nodded and took the scroll in his hands, sliding the seal off and setting it on top of the panel, while he rolled the scroll and started reading it to himself. After a minute, Tails looked back up at Sonic and said,
"Let's get to me. I say it's ready to be sent."
He rolled the parchment back up and slid the seal back into it to keep it closed. He then handed it back to Sonic and grabbed the tube, sitting on top of the panel with both hands, sliding it open with the top of his left hand and holding it out to Sonic. Slid the scroll inside and let Tails close it. The fox then held the tube between both hands and stared down at it for a moment. Sonic noticed this and asked, "Tails?"
The fox shook his head and looked up at Sonic and said, "Sorry, it says if the time-space transfer is successful, we'll have no way of knowing whether it makes it to Equestria or not. I know the signal from the transmitter can be picked up anywhere on the planet, but I don't think it can be picked up from anywhere else, at least of all another dimension. I just hope it works."
Sonic placed a hand on his shoulder. "Tails, I know you. Sure, you've had moments where things don't work out as you expect them to, like when you were trying to calibrate your machine to understand the wisps or the Tornado 2 not having landing gear, but the rest of the time you're spot on. Your machine's gonna work. I know it will."
Tails smiled. "Right, of course."
While holding the tube containing the letter in his left hand, he turned and walked over to his machine. When he was standing in front of it, in front of the glass part that joined the two black block parts, he pressed a button on the tube, causing the glass part to slide up to the top of the machine. Tails then set the cylinder in his hand inside and pressed the button again, causing the glass to slide back down around the cylinder. He then walked back over to the computer, taking his seat and checking the systems one last time, as Sonic came up to stand behind him and to his left. After a moment, Tails looked up and nodded.
"Everything checks out. Here goes."
He raised his right hand and placed it on top of the lever on the panel, wrapping his fingers around the top of it. Sonic reached over and placed his right hand on top of Tails' a moment later, Tails turning his head to smile up at him, and Hedgehog returning the smile. Tails then turned to look back at the computer screen, both of him and Sonic pushing the lever up together. They let go once it was all the way up and turned their heads towards the tube. The machine started humming as it powered up. Then, a few moments later, the inside of the glass began to glow brighter. After a few seconds, electricity began to fill inside the tube, surrounding a cylinder on the inside. As the duo watched, the light on the inside of the machine began to change colors, likely due to the chaos drives and power core. The light began to look more like an aurora, multiple colors appearing as the light filled the tube. Soon, it completely blocked out Sonic and Tails' view of the cylinder inside. After a couple of seconds, a bright flash erupted and forced them to turn away. When it died down, they looked back at the machine. They could no longer see the cylinder inside the large tube. Sonic spoke first. "Tails?" The fox turned back to his panel and typed something. After several seconds, he replied,
"Not picking up the signal from the transmitter. Whatever it is, it's not on its planet anymore."
Sonic smiled. "So it's on its way." At that point, a portal opened up, Skurs came out, bitch slapped Sonic, and yelled, "Keep your trash out of my dimension!"
Tails nodded. "Yep, just about drained the power cords and chaos tries to do it. As far as I can tell, it worked.
Sonic said, "Plenty of friends ought to be thrilled when they get our letter."
Tails replied, yeah.
He looked at the picture sitting on the panel. Was displayed the group shot that Dinky had taken at the end of Sonic's birthday party. As expected, Sonic, Tails, Spike, the main six, the King of Crusaders were front and center, while everyone else gathered around them at the picnic table. The remnants of the birthday cake Pinky had prepared could also be seen, sitting in the middle of the table.
Wonder what's going on with them now,
Tails thought aloud. Sonic came up behind the scene and said, "They're probably having plenty of adventures on their own back home. I'm sure they'll have plenty of stories to tell us next time we see them."
Tails looked back at him over his shoulder. We'll have stories to tell them too, right?
Sonic nodded, "Yeah. Speaking of which, you've been helping with the planning for this year's All-Star Racing Grand Prix." Okay, how does that even make sense in our canon?
I know you want to know. Oh, please don't tell me we'll be referencing the Olympic Games.
Yep, we are.
Okay, that's it. Fast forward. We're done.
Oh, it gets better.
It gets better.
I also reference Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph?
Yep.
There are so many reasons why that doesn't even make a lick of sense.
I know. Let's just start talking about Chip and the Element of Harmony. I mean, Chip's been around for hundreds of millions of years, so it doesn't usually take the form we saw him in when Eggman broke the planet apart. Knuckles has been around as long as he has, and since Light Guy represents positive traits.
Tails unto himself looked back at the picture. Is there a connection? Have the elements of harmony existed longer than 1,000 years? Is there more to just Knuckles than we know about?
Sonic said, "Well, it'll be a while before you get all your questions answered, Tails. Well, we both know somebody who can answer some of them, and help you with some of the theories now. Plus, I'd certainly like to hear what's been going on with us lately."
Tails smiled. Professor Pickle! That's a great idea, Sonic! He stood up for us here. Last time I talked to him, he said he was leaving Samar and heading to Spagonia. I'm sure he's back at Spagonia University now.
Sonic spoke. "Really? Well, let's go pay him a visit then."
Tails nodded. Okay, I left the Tornado 1 at my workshop in Central City. Let's give it some time up in the air and fly to Spagonia together.
Sonic nodded and they both left the lab, Tails locking the door behind him as they stepped outside. They both then sped through the Emerald Town, turning right as they passed Tails' house and were heading into Central City. A short while later, Tails sat in the Tornado 1's pilot seat, while Sonic stood behind him on the platform of the plane's tails. Tails guided the plane to the start of the runway to his workshop, stopping for a moment when it was pointing straight towards the end of the runway. He looked behind him and up at Sonic and asked, "Ready to go, Sonic?" Sonic held his right hand up. "You bet! Let's go, bro!" Tails smiled as he raised his hand up, closing into a fist and bumping against Sonic's. He then faced forward, placing both hands on his side, miles electronic, while Sonic held onto the handles and front of him with both hands. Fox set the plane moving again, the plane accelerating as it sped down the runway. As the Tornado 1 got closer to the runway, Tails pulled back, causing the biplane to begin lifting off the ground. It was soon off the ground completely, heading straight up, climbing over the low-lying buildings past the end of the runway, clearing the wire fence at the end. With takeoff successful, Tails followed the course for Sigonia, the Tornado 1 and its occupants flying off into the clear blue skies. Meanwhile, Princess Celestia was lying down on her mat in front of her fireplace in her private chamber. A quill under the influence of her magic gliding across the scroll in front of her when she heard a knock on the door. Pausing for a moment, she turned slightly on her mat so she could hear her easier and called in, "Come in." The doors opened and a familiar dark blue alicorn stepped through them, the sight of her bringing a smile to Celestia's face. "Good afternoon, sister. I hope I'm not interrupting anything," Luna wondered. Celestia replied, "Not at all, Luna. My meetings this morning turned out to be shorter than expected. I was able to look over new petitions that were brought in yesterday and decide on them, so I decided to take a little break until my scheduled afternoon appointments start." As he spoke, she held her quill up so Luna could see. The blue alicorns guided Krill and craned her neck to try to see what her sister had been doing. She caught a glimpse of the scroll sitting on the mat before Celestia moved slightly, blocking her view. Looking back at her sister, she asked, "Are you planning to put in a new stained glass window, Celestia?" The alicorn stood down in the direction of the scroll before looking back at her little sister, replying, "Possibly." She turned her head to look down at it, regarding her work. Her sketch depicted what the finality of Eggman and Discord's plot might look like in stained glass form. At the bottom stood everyone who had been present at the final battle. Above them, the bearers of the elements of harmony were enclosed by a large version of Chip's necklace, with that supersonic floating in front of the necklace's jewel. The bearers were shooting out the power of their elements of the jewel, and all of them coalescing and exiting the jewel as a rainbow fired up at the time meter, Eggman and Discord. After looking at it for a moment, Celestia used her magic to roll up the scroll and place her quill back on its spot, before turning back to Luna and asking, "What can I do you for, Luna?" The other unicorn replied, "I was wondering if you were hungry yet, Celestia. Princess Cadance and Prince Sunny Alma have arrived at the castle a few minutes ago for the royal luncheon. I told them I would get to you and ask an orange Pegasus guard to lead them to the royal dining hall." Celestia chuckled, "Yes, the luncheon. I almost forgot that was today." She stood over and walked over to her desk, picking up a scroll and tucking it under her right wing. She then walked over to Luna. "It feels like it's been a long time since I last saw them. Looks like he's been waiting any longer." Luna turned and exited the chamber, Celestia following her and using her magic to pull the doors closed behind her. Guards standing at his side and Yandra stood at attention until the two sisters left their sight, at which point they relaxed slightly. At their short walk, the sisters arrived at the door to the royal dining hall, a unicorn guard saluting and using his magic to open the door for them. They stepped inside and found Princess Cadance and Shining Armor sitting together to their left. The royal couple stood up when the two alicorns entered, Cadance happily saying, "Aunt Celestia, Aunt Luna, it's good to see you again." As she and Celestia walked to the other side of the table, Luna said, "Celestia and I are in an agreement, Cadance. It's been only 2 weeks, yet it feels like it's been much longer than that." Shining replied, "We were actually thinking the same thing now, Princess Luna." Celestia chuckled as she and Luna sat together. "I see great minds think alike." Soon afterwards, the casual chef and an assortment of servants entered the room, the servants pushing carts that covered dishes on them. They didn't take long for the servants to serve the princesses in shining armor. Once the meal started, both sides launched a conversation about recent affairs in both Camelot and the Crystal Empire. When the 4 ponies got to the end of their meal, Princess Cadance asked, "So, Aunt Celestia, have you heard anything from the Equestria Games Committee?" Celestia nodded. "Indeed I have, Cadance." Using her magic, she pulled the scroll from under her wing and levitated it over to the pink alicorn while saying, "This arrived just the other day. I believe it'll explain things better than I'll be able to." Cadance took the scroll in her magic and unfurled what was in front of her. She read to herself quietly, sighing to her seat, trying to reach over her shoulder. He didn't get far before Cadance exclaimed, "Yes!" She spun around her seat and hugged Shining tightly. "The committee approved it. They're going to send their inspector, Miss Heartswing, out to the Crystal Empire." Shining wheezed, "That's great, Cadance. Could you let go now?" Cadance blessed and quickly released her grip on the stallion, smiling sheepishly at him and chuckling a bit. After Shining caught his breath, he gave a chuckle of his own before saying, "I'm excited too, Cadance, and I know the Crystal Ponies are going to be excited when they hear this, but we still need to be ready for the inspector's arrival. Are we going to have enough time to prepare?" Celestia reassured him, "We'll have plenty of time, Shining. Just look at the date." She turned the letter towards him and let him take it in his own magic while she said, "This'll be great. It'll be a perfect excuse for our spa visit, and I can even get my hair done up the traditional Crystal Empire way. We'll be sure to give the inspector a personal tour of the Crystal Empire and give her plenty of reason to host this year's Equestria Games together." Shining lowered the letter and looked up at Cadance. "Actually, Cadance, I don't know if I'll be able to greet her." Cadance was confused, so he explained, "We just finished finalizing the training schedule for the games. And on that day, I'm going to be coaching for the track and field events. I don't know how much free time I'm going to have that day. And if you're going to get your hair done up and nice, it takes longer than expected. I'm not sure either of us will be able to beat this Miss Heartswing."
Cadance held a hope to her chin. "Oh, I hadn't thought about that. What we'll do if that does happen."
Luna cleared her throat, causing both Shining Armor and Cadance to turn and look at her. The Lunar Princess then said, "If I may make a suggestion, perhaps you could invite Twilight Sparkle and her friends to come to the Crystal Empire on that day. If something should come up, perhaps they can help you. Whether it involves meeting this Miss Heartswing or helping sway her approval in the Crystal Empire's favor."
Cadance smiled. "Aunt Luna, that's a wonderful idea. I don't like the idea of inviting Twilight and her friends to the Crystal Empire without a good reason. This would definitely be a good reason. It'll give you a chance to try something with Twilight."
Shiny looked at her confused and, "Try what?"
Cadance winked at him. "Don't worry, Shining. During his birthday party, Sonic mentioned he knows something about Twilight to me. I thought about what he said. I might be able to help Twilight deal with some of her anxiety.
Shiny nodded, though he was a little confused.
Cadence thought out loud, oh, it's too bad Sonic and his friends aren't here. They should probably help greet the inspector too. And knowing them, they like to compete in the equestrian games too.
Speaking of which, Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games. It's not that I hate it because it's a sports game. I hate it because we got that rather than Sonic and Mario, Adventures in Dimensions, or Sonic and Mario, an RPG to remember. You know, a platformer or an adventure game, not this stupid sports crap! I can think of 100 different games that would be better for Sonic and Mario to team up with over sports. I can think of about 1,000 different plots that would be better. But no.
A slight smile grew on Celestia's face as he said, actually, it's probably better they are here for this. Everybody looked at her as he explained, if I remember correctly, Miss Harswing is a bit of a stickler and something of a perfectionist. So you might not like seeing animals run around the Crystal Empire, especially if he hasn't heard of them yet. In fact, the sight of the dragon scale might have Sarah enough to make immediately rule out the Crystal Empire as host.
Sonic raised an eyebrow. Are you sure, Princess Celestia? That seems a bit, harsh for a Spectre.
Celestia shrugged. Well, that's only what I've heard, Shining Armor. I've been at the equestrian games in the past, and every pony I talked to has told me she's rather strict. Apparently the reputation she's made for herself. Cadence tried to show with her hoof. That might require a bit of research. In any case, I should write a letter to Twilight and friends to let them know about this. So he stood up and said, please excuse me, aunts, but I should probably take care of this now while I'm thinking about it. Celestia replied, of course, Cadence. I made sure to tell the maids to keep it clean in case you ever visited for an extended period of time. It's look exactly the way you remember it, so take care of what you need while you're there. This is still your home, and you're more welcome in it. Cadence nodded. Thank you, Aunt Celestia.
Sonic stood up. I'll go with you, Cadence. There are a couple of ponies I'd like to see while we're here anyway. And furthermore, excuse me, I just thought about something I wanted to write. Ladies and gentlemen, these ponies that I've gathered here today are the type of ponies who got mad or would roll their eyes at the episode where the girls mistook that one mare for Miss Horsewhinney. They complained about how it was illogical. They complained about how it did not make sense. I will now proceed to punish them the right way. Punish us? Trixie, fire the pies.
Will do.
People, this was a classic misunderstanding gag. A lot of cartoons in the 80s, 90s, millennium have done this. It's a classic joke meant for one thing and one thing only, to make you laugh. It is meant to be funny. One of the best parts about comedy is when you make a mistake and scenarios like this happen. It shows us character flaws and it allows us to sit back and laugh at them being silly. You are just lucky that that mare wasn't an asshole. And if you still have a problem with this, I recommend you see what I just did to these ponies. And grow a funny bone! Celestia and Luna stood up as well, followed the couple out the door. The two ponies stood outside the doors while Sister stood in the doorway, Celestia reminding them, the next train to the Crystal Empire won't be leaving until later this afternoon, so be sure to enjoy your time here in Canterlot, both of you. I'll be sure to come find you when it's closer to that time, if you've both been gone for a while. Both Shining Armor and Cadence thanked her and they both walked away, heading right down to the castle hallway. Once the couple was outside, Luna looked up at Celestia and asked, why did you say that, Celestia? The white Alcorn glanced down in confusion. What do you mean, Celestia, Luna? Luna answered, you didn't have to refer to Sonic and his friends simply as animals. And what was that comment about dragon scales for? Well, you implying that Miss Sweeney does not like dragons. Celestia turned to walk away, but motioned for Luna to follow her. The blue alicorn following alongside her as they walked down the hallway.
Luna, I do not think Sonic, Tails, or any of their friends as mere animals, but any pony that doesn't live in Ponyville, and possibly the Crystal Empire might. I was merely giving Cadence a possible example of how strict Miss Hartwig is said to be. She's a new experimenter. All I know about her is what I've heard other ponies say.
Luna said, surely she make an exception for the hero of the Crystal Empire.
Now I remind you that Twilight sent a Spike to deliver the crystal heart to Princess Cadence.
Celestia replied,
First of all, it was more of a group victory between Spike, Twilight, Cadence, Shining Armor, and the Crystal Ponies. Twilight found a crystal heart. Spike took it with him. Cadence and Shining Armor worked together to get it in place, and the Crystal Ponies gave it its power. Second, I highly doubt my niece would not fight Spike, but ultimately it's her decision.
Luna released a minuscule sigh as he went forward and spoke. Sister, it has been 2 weeks. Surely you have not forgotten what Dr. Eggman has said to you already.
Celestia tensed up slightly, but calmly replied, I have not.
Luna asked, so why do you continue to play these games? I admit playing games with ponies myself, but you said you would do your best not to troll every pony so much, especially Twilight Sparkle. When are you going to start doing that? When are you going to stop referring to Twilight as your most faithful student? She may still be growing, but she's made a home for herself in Ponyville. Surely she's not much of a student anymore, and I express my misgivings are referring to her mission to help the Empire as a test to you. It was a test. It was a test of her skill, and a test of her ability, and a test of her mind. By this time, they had reached the doors to lead to Celestia's chamber. As he stepped in front of the door, Celestia turned to her and to look back at Luna and said, Luna, you can be quite the worrywart. No, that's all I had to say.
As a matter of fact, I have something I need to help speed that along.
Luna cocked her head. What are you planning?
Celestia winked. That's my secret, little sister.
Luna gave her an exasperated look, but Celestia simply turned her head and used her magic to open the doors to her chamber. Before she could pass through the doors, Luna, deciding she wasn't going to be one-up so easily, spoke. Very well then, Celestia. You go do whatever you're planning to do, and I'll do what I'm planning to do. She turned and walked away as she finished. And like your suit for Twilight Sparkle, my plans will be coming to fruition tonight. Celestia stopped at that, turned her head to look back at Luna.
Tonight? What are you going to do, Luna?
The blue alicorn stopped to look back over his shoulder, then winked. That's my sister, secret big sister. Celestia pouted and stuck her tongue out at Luna, causing the younger alicorn to giggle as they continued on their way. Celestia then watched her for a moment before shaking her head and going to her chamber, closing the doors behind her. Inside, Celestia looked over to her desk. Upon which sat a black book which had 2 stars swirling around on its cover. Celestia looked down for a moment before picking it up with her magic, holding it in front of her. Star swirled the spirited spell book. She levitated a small light brown parcel and a piece of parchment with writing on it, sliding both the book and the paper inside. She then sealed the flap with a red sticker and placed the address for the Golden Oak Library on the package. It was all set to be mailed out. She set the package down on her desk and looked at it. If any pony can finish Star Swirl the Beard's unfinished spell, it's you, Twilight. But first, she turned her attention away from the package and walked to her bookcase. Using her magic, she pulled out a book with a brown cover she had been reading extensively and opened the correct page. You must first see if what Sonic thinks can come true. Let's find out if Discord can be reformed or not. She sighed softly to herself. But I can't give this task to Twilight. I don't know what Discord did to her and Sonic, and hopefully I'll never have to know. But I don't think she will be a good choice to be in charge of him. Whatever happened will certainly be heavy on her mind, which I cannot blame her for. Perhaps one of her friends would be a better choice. Perhaps Fluttershy could do it. Cannon Fluttershy, sure, but this Vic? No, because this Vic Fluttershy has yet to show that she actually has any of the real personality of Fluttershy. Her eyes shifted back to the parcel on the desk. It is done. Perhaps I'll be able to spend more time with Twilight, trying to make up for lost time. She then turned and carrying her magic, headed for the doors. As she passed by her mat, she said something and came to a stop. It was a strange burst of magic, similar to the one she sensed around the time Time Eater was sent to Equestria, but much more faint. She turned her head to look at the scroll sitting on the mat, eyeing it for a moment before continuing on her way. Stranger things have happened, I suppose. She thought to herself as she left her private chamber. Oh, and now we're at the school. This better be good. The bell at the Ponyville schoolhouse rang, signaling the end of another school day for Ponyville's ponies. Normally, there would be ponies that left right after the bell went, while the others were slower getting out for any number of reasons. But that was not the case today. Appleblue's Sleep Bell School, who found themselves flanked behind and on their sides by most of their classmates, they left the schoolhouse. Though they did ease off as the three fillies stooped out the door and walked down the front steps on cobblestone road. Almost as soon as they reached the ground, however, the ponies soared around them like they had gotten their cueing marks, Snips crying, "Oh, come on! We want to see it!" Snails nodded, "Oh, come on, one little look, huh?" Sleep Bell tapped her tail with her hoof thoughtfully.
I don't know.
Twist stepped closer to Applebloom and asked,
"Please, Applebloom, I still see my cutie mark when I got it. No problem showing your cutie mark, Smith. Why can't we show you a picture?"
Applebloom replied,
"Please, just because we said no early doesn't mean we ain't gonna show it to you at all."
Sis lied, "Then why does he show it to us now?" Is it wrong I want to do more snails, and that's because of the Ludiverse? His question caused all the ponies to start clamoring, all of them wanting to see the picture in Appleblue's saddlebags. Scootaloo finally said, "All right, come down, everybody. We'll show you the picture." Here, ponies cheered when the orange Pegasus filly walked over to Applebloom, dug her head in the left saddlebag. She pulled her head out, her mouth gently closed around the photograph. Ponies all gathered around to get a good look at it. The picture showed Sonic, Tails, Cute Marker Sayers, Sonic and Tails standing up beside each other. Applebloom seated at Crocus Sonic's left arm with a mouth and a smile, the head's arms right down pointing up, while Battles was perched on his right shoulder, giving a sideways glance at the camera with a smile. Sleep Bell and Scootaloo were perched on Tails' left and right shoulders respectively. The fox holding his left hand slightly to wave at the camera, while Sleep Bell was smiling with her mouth open, Scootaloo's smile showing some of her teeth. After looking at a couple of pictures, Snails asked, which one is her again?"
"Okay, we better make this quick. Let's bring her is itching that fast forward button." "Oh, come on. Is he really gonna skip all our scenes?"
Wow. Didn't even have 5 seconds. It didn't even have 5 seconds to do our scenes, and he already hit the fast forward button. Would ya? We wouldn't get this far.